Hello, this is my follow-up video to my first hatch tutorial and review video from, I guess, 3 weeks ago now. I'm happy with all the views I'm getting, and I'm glad that people are, enjoying whatever knowledge I have about it. I'm just, trying to learn this myself as well, as this really is a new feature for version 3 of Affinity. Okay, so this was bugging me for a while, is when I would create more than one or two lines. Like right here's an example of 3 lines. And what I was doing is I was using my scroll wheel on my mouse to go between, the different lines in this panel. But what I ended up doing is accidentally having the cursor in a value field, and when I was scrolling, it was actually changing some of the numbers. And so I discovered that a better way of working is to use the up and down arrows on the keyboard. Like here's this pattern here. I will show you how quick it is. Let me double click on this custom toolbar to move it off to the side here. So if I twirl down each one of these arrows, and now I use the arrow keys on the keyboard, it lets you quickly navigate among, however many lines you have. So that's a much better way of working. I put together this file, and I'm going to share it with this video. It's, I guess it's 10 pages. It's just 10 artboards. And so you're going to have samples that you can click on any of these samples and see how I did it. Here's some cookbook pages I put together with recipes. So the idea being is all the information is here. Like I basically put this all together. This is just a pixel layer. But I did screen grabs of the various panels and I put it together here. So here's the stroke width. Here's the rotation. Here's the 2 colors. It has the 2 lines, all the values. So, if you create line 1 and 2, and then you can input the numbers from here to see how this pattern is going to be. I don't know whether it's helpful or not, or if that was confusing, but so anyway, I put 5 examples together of that. You can see it right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can click on any one of these. These are patterns to see how they're done. This page over here, it kind of explains what anchor to document is. Like, for example, if you select this and you go to stretch it, it's going to stretch the pattern. So you don't want to do that. So if you click on anchor to document within the pattern panel, then you can basically stretch your object, your shape, your container, because it's basically acting like a mask. So the pattern is anchored to the document, but your container, your shape, you can move it around. One of the things I wanted to talk about is there's this bug where when you make a pattern, and if you do the global, like if I click on this and I go to tab, this global rotation, if you change it to rotate a pattern, you can see the hairline preview doesn't update. It really should look like this, but it doesn't. And when you save it to the hatches in the swatches, in the hatches category, it doesn't update either. What I've been doing the last couple weeks is I'm trying to figure out a way to get more intricate and more complicated with the patterns, and trying to get shapes and objects that I can't readily get with the way the hatch panel is right now. So an idea I currently have is take a pattern. Here's like pattern 1, here's pattern 2, and basically stack them on top of each other. And then when you do that, you can actually go to the layer mode up here, where it says opacity 100 normal. So I took this pattern, stacked it on the second one, and I put negation in for the blend mode, and it got this pattern. And basically what it's doing is it's taking, sometimes it'll kind of punch a hole through the bottom one. Sometimes it, does a kind of invert stuff. It's kind of experimental, and you really have to just play around with it to basically see how it works. So I did quite a few of those here. Here's another example of one where I just did these circles, these black circles, and 0 point for the dash, 40 point for the space. I shifted it and did the spacing to get it kind of tight and offset kind of from each other. And then what I did is I duplicated this 3 times, and they're all stacked. So let me go to that. Okay, it's this one right here. So I have 3 hatch patterns in here. And so this is the first one. So this second one, it's just changed slightly. I went into the X and the Y, and then the stroke width was 50 here, but it's 37 here, and then I offset it on the X and the Y a little bit so that you can see the white is offset. And then the third pattern, which is above these two, it's it's this one here. This one has another bunch of circles that are added. I reduced the stroke on that to 32, and I changed it to -2 on the Y. And then for the blend mode up here, I did contrast negative, and the opacity is 100%. And so this is the pattern, and I made 2 little changes to it, stacked it, changed the blend mode, and I got this more kind of interesting pattern. So that was kind of cool, I thought. And over here you can see where I kind of was playing around with colors. These kind of look like I don't know, kind of radioactive olives or something. But I was playing with the offset, the colors. Sometimes when you play around with contrast, negation, and some of these other crazy blend modes, it can be kind of hard to work with the color a little bit. But anyway, it's like you can click on these and see how I did it, and you can play around with all of that. And then I have a playground section here where I think I stacked 4 hatch patterns on top of each other. So let me close these artboards. Where's play? Okay, playground's up at the top. Let me really zoom in here. Okay, so here's a group. I have 4 hatch patterns. And right now I have 2. Okay, so this bottom one was the original hatch pattern. This is the second one, and I basically reduced the size of the circles, with the stroke parameter. And so if you look, I have contrast negate on it. So I'm going to drag the shape, the container, over the bottom, and you can see that this smaller black circle is punching out the larger one to where it's kind of like we have a circle with a stroke. So for the next pattern, let me turn that one on. It does it's covering this one. And as you can see, what it really is it's these white circles. Basically, I reversed the stroke and fill. So there's white circles here. And when it goes over the black, it basically creates this white stroke. So let me take it over here. So now I'm going to lower this over these bottom two squares here. So what's it going to do? So it kind of put a stroke around the white, and then this square on the left, it kind of put a white stroke, kind of created this black and white stroke. And again, it's just these white circles. And again, if you look, it's contrast negate. So, okay, I have a fourth rectangle. Hatch pattern. I'm going to turn the visibility of that on. So this one, it's an even smaller black circle. So basically, I'm creating kind of more intricate, circles. So let me just so I would be hard pressed to do that otherwise without using these stacked hatch patterns. And again, I know it might seem confusing, but it's not really that much if you just play around with it. Basically, to make sure that they line up when you're in the layers panel, just don't try to copy and paste and then line it back up this way. Just go over to here and just duplicate from this menu when you click on it in the layer panel. That way it's ensured to be right on top. You know what I mean? So let me just get rid of that. But again, it's kind of interesting if you can stack patterns on top of each other. The one thing with the contrast negate is, well, what happens if you have these group of hatch patterns on top of something other than white? So that's why I put a rectangle behind this entire group. Let me just turn that on. Sometimes the, I don't know what you would call this cyan color shows through. Sometimes it's just totally blocked out. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. But I still have to play around with it. And like I said, that's why I called it the playground here. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to do. But like I said, I'll make all of this available so you can go through and I think it's only a 5 megabyte file. It's an AF file, Affinity file. And it's been a while since I used my Google Drive to share anything. So, but that's how I'm gonna, make it available for download. If I can figure out how to add that and everything. Still learning this, but anyway, hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you.